2024 Spring Commencement exercises of Northern Michigan University.
Good morning. Welcome to Spring Commencement 2024. Today, we will honor over 900 graduates and their accomplishments. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that our university is located on the ancestral homelands of the Anishinaabe Three Fires Confederacy of Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi people, and to honor the indigenous members of our community. To begin, and to recognize our graduates, we welcome the Teal Lake Singers, who will perform an honor song. The academic procession will then commence. If you are able, please rise.
Graduating students and faculty are marching into Northern Michigan University's Superior Dome to the strains of Edward Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance, Dr. Stephen Grugan conducting the NMU Symphonic Band. During this morning's commencement exercises, 913 students will be graduating. Among the degrees given out will be 116 masters, 701 bachelors, and 71 associates. Certificates for 1- and 2-year degrees will be given to 25 individuals. The commencement speaker for today is educational innovator and author Dr. Milton Chen. Dr. Chen will also receive the honorary degree, Doctor of Education. Graduating senior Ms. Grace Cook from Memphis, Michigan, has been selected to be the student commencement speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of Northern Michigan University, Dr. Brock Tessman.
Welcome all to Northern Michigan University's May 2024 commencement ceremony. I also like to extend a welcome to viewers of WNMU Public Television, Channel 13, and those joining us across the country and around the world through our online streaming service. Graduates of Northern Michigan University, we're so incredibly proud of you for this major accomplishment. And trust me, we're going to give you a big cheer in just a moment. But I want to make sure that this year's cheer is particularly loud because for many of our graduates, today's ceremony can help make up for a high school graduation ceremony that was likely lost or at least significantly altered by the COVID pandemic. So as we ponder all this year's graduating class has gone through, and it's been a lot, to get to this stage today, let's all let them know just how proud of them we are. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise in body or in spirit as NMU's ROTC Color Guard will now present our colors, and following that, we'll have our vocalist, Miss Anna Morozov, as she leads us in the singing of our national anthem. And gentlemen, if you could please remove your caps at this time. Thank you, Ms. Morozov. Now, would everyone except for our veterans please be seated? Veterans, at this time, in addition to all the other recognitions today, we want to thank you directly to your service, and we all want to salute you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Commencement is uniquely marked by dignity, respect, and honor. It's a formal time of celebration, a time to recognize the accomplishments of our students and to confer upon them the degrees that they've earned. It's also a time to recognize others who have strengthened the university in its service to those students. We're pleased to have with us today members of our Board of Trustees and other stage dignitaries, and I'm going to introduce them at this time. I'll ask that they stand for a brief moment as I call their names and then be seated. And everyone, if you can please hold your applause until everyone's been introduced, that would be fantastic. First, our Board of Trustees. We have Mr. Steve Young of Lansing, the Chair of the NMU Board of Trustees. Miss Lisa Fatante of Iron Mountain. Miss Missy Holmquist of Marquette. Miss Bridget LaPointe Dunham of Baraga. Mr. Steve Lindberg of Marquette. Mr. Greg Sepinen of Marquette. And Mr. Greg Toutant of Nagani. Additionally on the stage, we have Mr. Gavin Leach, our Board Treasurer and Northern Michigan University Vice President of Finance and Administration. We have other stage dignitaries. We're so proud to have Dr. Milton Chen, our commencement speaker and honorary degree recipient. Miss Grace Cook, our student commencement speaker. Dr. Jamie Crabb, Associate Professor of Nursing and Chair of our Academic Senate. Dr. Anne Dahlman, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs. Dr. Lisa Eckert, Dean of the College of Graduate Studies and Research. Miss Dana Hinckley, the President-elect of the Associated Students of Northern Michigan University. Professor Carol Johnson, Dean of the College of Business. Mr. Jeff Corpy, Associate Vice President for the Northern Student Experience. Dr. Joe Lubig, Associate Dean and Director of the School of Education, Leadership, and Public Service, and Dean of the College of Health Sciences and Professional Studies. Mr. Mike Settles, Public TV 13 producer and host, who will do the yeoman's job of announcing all of our graduates today. Dr. Steve Vandenhoven, Associate Provost and Dean of the College of Technology and Occupational Sciences. Dr. Leslie Warren, Associate Provost and Dean of the Library and Instructional Support. Dr. Carter Wilson, Department Head and Professor of Political Science and this year's Distinguished Faculty Award recipient. And Dr. Rob Wynn, our Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Let's give all of these individuals a round of applause. And at this time, I would like to invite the Chair of our Board of Trustees, Mr. Steve Young, to give some remarks.
Thank you, President Tessman. Welcome, Wildcats and honored guests. Thank you for attending Northern Michigan University's 2024 Spring Commencement Ceremony. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it is my honor to welcome all of you. This board looks forward to this celebration every year. And I want to thank and welcome our faculty and staff, many of whom are in attendance today, for their role in producing yet another outstanding graduating class. You nailed it again. We also welcome the parents, grandparents, siblings, wives, husbands, children, partners, friends, mentors, significant others, and many more who are joining us today. Welcome to Wildcat Country. Now to our graduating class. You know NMU is a special place with special people. We have top-notch and nationally recognized faculty. We have students that are enthusiastic and excited about the future. We have a beautiful campus and environment that includes Lake Superior and many miles of trails and unparalleled beauty. But most important of all, we have you. Cherish this day and take pride in your accomplishment. Everyone stands a little taller and a little prouder for what you have achieved. What a great day for each of you, and what a great day to be a Wildcat. Again, welcome everyone to the special place and the special day. Congratulations, and go Cats. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Young. And Chair Young referenced this. Commencement's a special day for all of us. It is a special day for our excellent faculty and staff at Northern Michigan University. The bottom line is there's not much I can say here at the podium to capture the way that our faculty and staff support this moment for our students, their families, their loved ones. But they are the ones who are responsible for the high-quality programs we offer. The faculty and staff play a constant and direct, profound role in the lives of our students. And at this time, as a small token of our appreciation, I do want to ask our faculty, our staff, and any emeriti faculty and staff who are in the audience to stand, and if you're able, allow yourselves to be recognized. Thank you very much. Please stand and be recognized. Graduates, as I mentioned, your accomplishments, as we recognize them here today, would not be possible without the love, support, and guidance of all of those who share in your proud accomplishment. So, if you're a parent, if you're a spouse or partner, a significant other of one of our graduates, I'd ask you, if you're able, to please rise and remain standing and allow us to thank you for your work in making today possible. And please remain standing if you can, because I want any children of our graduates that are sharing mom or dad with us today and recognizing how much they put in to earn today's accomplishment, would you rise and remain standing and allow us to thank you? And I'm sure there are many proud extended family members, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, close friends who've contributed to our graduates' most notable accomplishment. Please rise and be recognized. So, graduates, today is about you, but it is important for us to note that it is a team moment. We're so proud to share your day with so many people filling up this beautiful dome. Central to our goal as a university is the quality of our instructional program. Northern Michigan University has been most fortunate to have, over the years, highly qualified, dedicated, and incredibly productive faculty. And annually, we honor and recognize outstanding faculty with the designation of a Distinguished Faculty Award. And our new Provost, Anna Dahlman, will introduce this year's award recipient. Provost Dahlman.
Our 2024 Stephen Young and Tricia Kinley Distinguished Faculty Award recipient is Dr. Carter Wilson in the College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Carter Wilson is an accomplished scholar, teacher, and mentor, sharing his expertise, lived experience, and time generously. Dr. Wilson is the head of the Department of Political Science, where he also serves as a professor teaching courses that range from introductory government courses to graduate courses in public administration. He has the unique ability to alter his teaching style and approach to meet the needs of his students at all levels. As a scholar, Dr. Wilson has written widely on all aspects of public policy. His most recent book, Trumpism, Race, Class, Populism, and Public Policy, contributes to our understanding of how ideas, personalities, and elections impact public policy, and how those policies impact American workers of all classes and colors. Dr. Wilson is also the author of the textbook Public Policy, Continuity, and Change, now in its 3rd edition. His book, Racism from Slavery to Advanced Capitalism, received the prestigious Gustavus Myers Outstanding Book Award for the study of human rights in North America. Dr. Wilson is active in the Marquette community and on campus. He is also the long-term advisor to NMU, Northern Students Government. I present to you our 2024 Stephen Young and Tricia Kinley Distinguished Faculty Award recipient, Dr. Carter Wilson. Now is the time to introduce our student speaker for today's graduating class, Miss Grace Cook. Yay! Grace Cook came to NMU from Memphis, Michigan in the fall of 2021. She will graduate magna cum laude today with a degree in elementary education, integrated science with a minor in photography. Grace was very involved in the campus ministry group affiliated with Redeemer Lutheran Church in Marquette. She started a student organization, Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence Awareness. This group worked to increase access to mental and physical health supports for students who have experienced sexual violence and stalking. Grace organized photographers and took photos for the UP Sled Dog Association during multiple UP 200 weekends and worked for our communications and marketing department. Grace just finished student teaching in kindergarten classroom. After graduation, she is hoping to teach in an elementary school in the Marquette area. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Ms. Grace Cook as the Spring 2024 NMU Student Commencement Speaker. Grace.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Thank you, Ed Majors. President Tessman, members of the Board of Trustees, esteemed faculty members, proud parents, and those of you watching online, at home, or in Australia, yes, you, Christina, and most importantly, the resilient and ambitious graduates of Northern Michigan University. Welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Grace Cook, and if you couldn't tell by my opening statement, I am an elementary education graduate, and I'm now for hire. Shameless plug. I am thrilled to be speaking to you on behalf of Northern Michigan University's graduating class of 2024. Today marks a momentous occasion, a day of celebration, reflection, and profound gratitude. As we gather here, adorned in our caps and gowns, we carry with us not just the joy of our academic achievement, but the culmination of years of dedication, perseverance, and unwavering determination. Each step we've taken, every hurdle we've overcome, has led us to this pivotal moment in our lives. When sitting down to write this speech in my kindergarten classroom, my thoughts resembled that of a metropolitan transportation system intersecting all over a major city. How could I possibly sum up my time here and relate to everyone when the inside jokes, side characters, backstories themselves would take about 4 hours to explain, and I wouldn't get to the main point? So that just won't do. I found a quote that sums it up quickly and concisely from Sir Nicholas Winton, a hero in the time of the Holocaust who saved more than 600 children from death. He said, "There are some stories which we are not only an audience to, but may become their participants. Fellow graduates, we have all become participants in the Northern Michigan University community. It's the very reason we are celebrating here today. Before we can talk about our NMU journey coming to a close, we have to talk about the start. Many of us have connections, invisible strings, tying us to the heart of Northern. In my student teaching, I have used this analogy taken from a children's book for students dealing with tremendous loss. An invisible string is an imaginary string, tying you to a space or a person. The string is yours to keep. Only you have the power to award strings and take strings away. The strings know of no time or distance, which is great for those of us with strings tying us to faraway places and people we have lost. I think Sir Winton would have enjoyed hearing about these strings because they're a way of connecting our souls. Our graduating class shares these invisible strings with the people and spaces here at NMU. Consider most of our freshman years. We came in with a fair set of challenges. We were in a major health crisis. Wildcat Willie wore a mask. There was a Ferris wheel in the academic mall. Our meals were in tan to-go boxes. Solus Teca was still open and became a safe haven for many of us. Although quite different from typical college experiences, we made the best with what we had. Our courage and compassion during this time was shown through group meals outdoors, late-night car rides, Zumba, thank you, Mark Chevy, and talking on Zoom calls before class officially started. We found ways to be active participants in our own stories. We didn't stop. Graduates, moving forward from today, I encourage you to stay active participants in your life. It can be easy to get stuck, to feel as though you don't know what to do next, and that is okay. Being an active participant means recognizing the challenges in front of you and forging new paths or seeking out possibilities. If your goal, your opportunity scares you, it is probably worth the sacrifice and effort. Challenge yourself to strive for greatness. Know that if you fall short, your invisible strings will catch you. Northern will catch you, and you can start again. As we bask in the glow of our achievements, let us not forget the profound responsibility that accompanies this privilege of education. For education is not merely a means to an end, but a powerful tool for positive change, a catalyst for progression, progress, compassion, and social justice. Sir Winton used his education and wit to save lives. I wonder, what will you do with your education? I challenge you to be advocates for change. Speak your mind, hold your head high, know that each of us has the power and foundation to build a future that is more just, more compassionate, and more equitable for all. Congratulations, class of 2024. The world awaits your brilliance, your compassion, and your boundless potential. Let's show them what's possible when Wildcats roar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. So now is the time we confer the degree honoris causa as recommended by the Honorary Degree Selection Committee and approved by the faculty and the NMU Board of Trustees. Provost Dahlman will present the candidate for an honorary degree. I'll note that a full citation does appear in the commencement program.
President Tessman, I have the privilege to present Dr. Milton Chen to receive an honorary degree. Dr. Milton Chen, you are a distinguished educational innovator and dedicated community servant. You have spent your life as a champion for quality and culturally competent pre-K-12 education books and work. We immensely appreciate your work at the George Lucas Education Foundation and edutopia.org, as well as KQED Center for Education, and at Sesame Workshop, where you helped create the iconic educational television programs of Sesame Street, The Electric Company, and 3-2-1 Contact, as well as your efforts to make teachers, parents, and students realize national parks and the outdoor spaces as outstanding classroom spaces. Northern Michigan University praises your commitment to educational innovation and proudly presents you with the honorary degree, Doctor of Education.
Thank you, Provost Dahlman. Milton Chen, by the authority of the Board of Trustees of Northern Michigan University, I confer upon you the degree, Doctor of Education, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. I'll now invite Dr. Chen to deliver our commencement address. Dr. Chen.
All I can say is wow. It's such a pleasure to be here. President Tessman, faculty, staff, administrators, families, friends, significant others, fellow honorees, and especially you, the graduates of the class of 2024. Today, May 4th, is an auspicious day for you and for fans of Star Wars. As we like to say, May the 4th be with you. I've had a chance to meet some of you and your faculty and the staff here. And Wildcats, I do believe the force is strong in you. Looking back on my own life, I feel like the force has definitely been with me. I am the very fortunate son of the Upper Peninsula, born in Negaunee, just 10 miles away. My work has taken me from Sesame Street, which we call the longest street in the world, to a galaxy long ago and far, far away. Along the way, working in children's television, I met and became a friend of Fred Rogers. You know him as the host of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, now adapted on PBS as the animated hit series Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. Fred was a very popular commencement speaker. And since many graduates had grown up with his program, as soon as he was introduced, they would begin singing the theme song from his program. I think you know it too. So if you do, please sing it along with me, at least the first few bars. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? It is a beautiful day in the northern Michigan neighborhood. Fred Rogers would also make a point to remind his audiences, and especially today's graduates, to think of those who had helped them get to where they are today. I'd like to ask you to do that with me. Many of your supporters, your mentors, your family, and your friends have been acknowledged en masse, but it's also important for you individually to think of them and to thank them personally. So let's just take 30 seconds to do that. Think of those who've helped you get to where you are today. It could be when you were much younger, could be a teacher in your schools, your universities, a friend, a mentor, a parent, a relative. Think of those who've helped you to get to today and wear the cap and gown of an NMU graduate. And the rest of us can do that too. Let's just take 30 seconds. Now that you've remembered them, please make it a point of thanking them in person or via text or email. Or if they're no longer with us, please keep them in your heart and tell others what they have meant to you. Expressing gratitude to those who've helped us create our own personal neighborhoods is so important, yet so rarely done. During those 30 seconds, I thought of my parents, Wen Lan and Jeannie Chen. In 1952, they moved here for my father to take a job with Cleveland Cliffs for a year. He had been in the US just for 7 years and my mother just for 3 years. And there my father met another engineer, Tsuming Han, at Cliffs, and another recent immigrant from China, also working at Cliffs. This region of the Upper Peninsula, home to many waves of European and Scandinavian immigrants, welcomed our 2 Chinese families. According to Professor Russell Managi, I'm sure he's here, he believes they may have been the only 2 Chinese families in this region at the time. Yet the workers at Cliffs made our families feel welcome in the company and this community. The engineers collaborated with Tsuming Han on a number of patents to help mine low-grade iron ore, and according to Professor Managi, that particular work helped lift the economy of this region. NMU's Center for Upper Peninsula Studies has done a book authored by Russell Managi and James Shefchek. It's called Tsuming Han, A Man of 2 Different Worlds. And I encourage you to look for it and read it to get a little slice of the earlier history of this region. My own journey has taken me from the Upper Peninsula to Chicago and then to Harvard College. There I met a professor, Gerald Lesser, whom I'm also thinking of today. Jerry Lesser was the chair of the Board of Advisors to Sesame Street in New York, and he was one of the very few education researchers and faculty members who was interested in the late 60s and whether television could be used to educate young children. So during college, I began working with him, and Sesame Street by now, more than 50 years later, has indeed circled the globe. In the US, recently the show has helped children and families understand issues such as autism. There's an autistic Muppet on Sesame Street, Julia. It's also helped children and families deal with military deployment, with homelessness, and abroad it has been seen in more than 140 countries. There have been international versions as well, with local Muppets in local languages, local cast members, in countries such as Mexico, Brazil, Kuwait, Israel, China, and South Africa. Today, the show and the Muppets even provide early childhood learning in Syrian refugee camps in Jordan and Lebanon. Yet in the beginning, very few would have predicted how successful this would become. In 1968, when it was being developed, many so-called experts on child development were kind of skeptical. They said, you know, we have children in kindergarten and first grade who do not know their letters, do not know the alphabet and how to count to 20. How can you possibly use television to teach this earlier to 3-year-olds? Have you seen television? It's terrible. That'll never work. One lesson I learned from my years working at Sesame Workshop is that indeed, children can learn more earlier than we think they can, if they're given the right experiences, both in person and through media and technology. In fact, the kindergarten curriculum has been changed because of Sesame Street, because 5-year-olds were arriving at kindergarten knowing some of those early skills that had been previously taught. This lesson also goes for grown-ups as well. We can all learn more. We can all be more than the world and its conventions tell us. And I've been very fortunate to work with George Lucas at his foundation in the Bay Area. We produce a website called edutopia.org, envisioning a more ideal learning environment for all students. And for more than 20 years, close to 25 years now, the site has published short films and articles about educational innovations, practices such as project-based learning, connecting the classroom learning to real-world learning, social-emotional learning, knowing that educating one's heart is as important as educating one's mind. Mr. Lucas wanted to help improve schools because he himself was not an outstanding student. He was kind of the quiet student in the back of class. He felt like he wasted a lot of time in school because even though he had interests such as photography and cars, these were never interests that could be used in the classroom. He did have a serious car accident during high school, and this was one of the things that led him to think bigger about his life, to appreciate the value of life, and to want to do more with his own life. A friend of his was going to USC, perhaps another little accident, and encouraged him to come along, that maybe there was a photography department at USC. And when George Lucas got to USC, he learned there was no photography department, there was only a film school. Back then, the USC Film School was nothing like it is today. If you wanted to work in the film industry in Hollywood, you apprenticed and worked on location and worked in the studios. But from then on, George Lucas became, for the first time, one of the best students in class in film school. And as you know, he went on to a legendary career as a filmmaker. Just 8 years after Sesame Street premiered in 1969, in 1977, George Lucas was working on what he has termed a science fiction fantasy film for 10-year-old boys. And he said, one of the things I learned is if you made something well enough, a lot of other people would be interested in it. As with Sesame Street, there were the doubters. I mean, flying spaceships and hairy creatures and lightsabers and a little green creature with large ears and a funny voice who inverts his subjects and verbs. That'll never work. The rest, as they say, is history. And the history of both Sesame Street and Star Wars tells us that when you're doing something innovative, something that's never been done before, expect the doubters. When they say that'll never work, that might mean that you're on the right track. Wildcats, I know you're expecting me to give you some words of wisdom today, so I will try to keep it simple. I'll just give you 3 short pieces of advice that all have to do with embracing newness in your lives. First, try new things. Don't stay in your comfort zone of academic subjects, hobbies, sports, foods even. Take some risks. Now is the time to gather new experiences, now that you're completing one chapter of your life and entering into a new chapter. And while you're trying these new things, you might experience some failures, but in fact, these are some of the best ways to learn. There's a saying in Silicon Valley that goes, if you're not failing, well, maybe you're not trying hard enough. Second, try some new places. Travel as widely as you can in the US and abroad. Travel broadens the mind and nurtures the heart. You'll meet new people and cultures, so embrace what it means to be an American, a nation made up of so many diverse cultures and peoples. Third, try to make some new friends who are different from you. They might be different in age or background, geography, language. Hopefully, some of you have done this during your time here at Northern. The more diverse your social network, the more your life will be enriched. There's something called the diversity bonus, and it is about more diverse groups in the workplace getting better at proposing solutions to problems. The more different perspectives there are in the room, the better the solutions are. So take advantage of the diversity bonus in your own life and in your own work. By asking you to do these 3 new things, I'm asking you to become the innovator of your own life. But you should do more than simply try to do these things. As Master Yoda is famous for saying, do or do not. Actually, it should be more like, do or do not. There is no try. Yeah, I think that needs some work. I'll work on that. So do new things, do travel widely, and do make more diverse friends. Dear Wildcats, on this May 4th, I believe the force is strong in you. But the dark side is also strong. But armed with your Northern Michigan degree, you now have the lightsaber of learning. Your education is more powerful than any weapon. Use it for good to build better communities and a healthier planet. The world needs your energies, your talents, your passions, now more than ever. You are the change that we have been waiting for. So everyone, please join me in celebrating the graduates of 2024. Let's cheer them on with that phrase that Star Wars fans like to say today. Say it with me, May the 4th be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chen. Okay, we're getting there, graduates. Now is the moment that you've been waiting for, your family's been waiting for, your friends have been waiting for, and that your faculty have been waiting for, the conferring of degrees. I'll bring back to the podium our Provost Dahlman.
President Tessman, the deans of the colleges will join me in presenting the candidates for the graduate and undergraduate degrees. The graduate degree candidates will be presented by Dr. Lisa Eckert, Dean of the College of Graduate Studies and Research.
Will the candidates for graduate degrees please stand and remain standing? These candidates have met the requirements for their degrees and have been approved by the faculty. Provost Dahlman, I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
You can sit down. Do they stand up? My apologies, you will remain standing. Oh. Thank you. The next candidates will be presented by Dr. Rob Wynn, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences.
Will the candidates for the undergraduate degrees in the College of Arts and Sciences please stand and remain standing? Provost Dahlman, these candidates have met all of the requirements of their degrees and have been approved by the faculty. I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
The next candidates will be presented by Professor Carol Johnson, Dean of the College of Business.
Will the candidates for the undergraduate degrees in the College of Business please stand and remain standing? Provost Dahlman, these candidates have met all the requirements for their degrees and been approved by the faculty. I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
The next candidates will be presented by Dr. Joe Lubig, Dean of the College of Health Sciences and Professional Studies.
Will the candidates for the undergraduate degrees in the College of Health Sciences and Professional Studies please stand and remain standing? Provost Dahlman, these candidates have met all of the requirements for their degrees and have been approved by the faculty. I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
The next candidates will be presented by Dr. Steve van den Avond, Dean of the College of Technology and Occupational Sciences.
Will the candidates for the undergraduate degrees in the College of Technology and Occupational Sciences please stand and remain standing? Provost Dahlman, these candidates have met all the requirements for their degrees and have been approved by the faculty. I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
President Tessman, these candidates have met all of the requirements for their respective degrees and have been approved by the faculty. We present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
Are you ready? By virtue of the authority granted me by the Board of Trustees, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I now confer upon each and every one of you the appropriate degree, the requirements of which you have fulfilled, and do hereby vest each of you with the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Well done. Okay. So before we have these graduates perform the long-standing tradition of moving their tassel from right to left, I'd ask all alumni from Northern Michigan University to stand and welcome these new members into the alumni body. Okay. So graduates, now is the time. You can flip that tassel from the right side to the left side. Congratulations, and you can be seated for now. Mr. Mike Settles is going to read the names of our graduates, and the dean of the appropriate college will be presenting the diploma covers. So graduates, as you walk up to the stage and you cross the stage, please remember, walk to the front, and if you would, take a second, shake hands, and smile. We'll get a great photo of you on the stage in this big moment. I think we've got our drill down, and now I'll ask the candidates for all the degrees to please come forward.
We begin by recognizing our global campus graduates who have completed their degrees entirely online. While several global campus graduates have traveled to Marquette to walk in today's ceremony, we would like to take this moment to salute those global campus graduates who could not be here but wanted to participate in commencement. College of Graduate Education and Research, Master of Arts, Elishaba Peterson. Master of Arts in Education, Denise Spink. Master of Public Administration, Rochelle McGregor. College of Arts and Sciences, Bachelor of Science, Denise Bednarchuk. College of Health Sciences and Professional Studies, Bachelor of Science, Samantha Matz. Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Katie Greeno. Jacqueline Vale. Bachelor of Social Work, Kari Galdine. And now, for those who are with us today. Graduate Education and Research, Master of Arts, Artemis Allison. Jackson Gray. Andrea Hendrick. Sapka Leonora. Master of Arts in Education, Kylie Bunting. Hannah Cole. Shannon Kraut. Jennifer Prom. Mallory Scanlon. Courtney Soler. Erlene Van Dam. Dawn Varon. Myra Williams. Maria Arkalainen. Dylan Brown. Philip Cotis. Christopher Danick. Kelvin Glods. Nicholas Jones. Ericus Kapochis. Ashley Larson. Kyler McKenzie. Joshua Reed Mendez. Jason Shane. Garrett Taylor. Ava Toko. James Vermeulen. Jonas Vorbaugh. Isaac Ward. Elijah White. Master of Fine Arts, Louisa Barron. Phoebe Billups. Daisha Price. Lauren Sparks. Zane Tanis. Master of Public Administration, Emily Arndt. Alexandra Cazzetta. Andrea Fox. Ronald Likes Jr. Megan Mast. Kurt Melville. Casey Recrocio, 2nd Lieutenant, U.S. Army. Master of Science, Mackenzie Baranski. Brianna Bauer. A.J. Carpenter. Caitlin Clavin. Rachel Cole. Grant Combs. Evan Coscarelli Trott. Lisa Dahl. Alexia Dalton. Caitlin DeWitt. Madison Eddy. Neil Flavin. R. Ann Flynn. Alexis Foster. Kai Gerster. Alexander Gillum. Miles Glendenning. Courtney Handlin. Trevor Hansen. Catherine Haney. Andrea Hines. Riley Jensen. Emma Johnson. Stanton Johnson. Trey Johnson. Amanda Joslin. Brett Kaupanen. Abby Knight. Lucas Kermis. Shelby Lacoste. Michaela Matson. Demetrius Mullen Jr. Emily Midlowski. Eric Noggle. Cheyenne Nutt Lewis. Valerie Patterson. Alexis Pupo. Yusuf Kadumi. Rafaela Rafalowska. Jordan Simula. Haley Snyder. Carrie Strand. Megan Wells. Maisie Zahn. Master of Interdisciplinary Study, Megan Carroll. Riley Lalone. Savannah Struble. Masters of Social Work, Lauren Anderson. Douglas Baker. Josie Berg. Tyra Blackman. Nathan Borley. Austin Buckley. Grace Emmendorfer. Jennifer Erickson. Sydney Garlitz. Alicia King. Katie Lamers. Haley Malaska. Madison Mealing. Lauren Mitchie. Nina Moore. Ariel Novak. Morgan Nussbaum. Darby Ranget. Dana Sheelan. Andriana Smith. Bryce Thompson. Abby Walters. Roberta Wright. Nathan Zaremba. College of Arts and Sciences, Associate of Applied Arts, Tobias Dodd. Associate of Arts, Lauren Dozell. Brianna Henry, honor. Isabella Miller. Aiden Shiade. Associate of Science, Kathleen Balsevich. Jocelyn Brown, honor. Lauren Duvet. Emily Franks. Johanna Freeman, high honor. Kirsa Kolpak. Shirley Ann Mogford, high honor. Bachelor of Arts, Emma Briggs, cum laude. Levi DeRocher, summa cum laude. Hannah Fritz, magna cum laude. Miranda Gilliam. Autumn Graham. Keely Shea Hansen, magna cum laude. Kelsey Homan, cum laude. Alexis Laws, summa cum laude. Olivia Luplo, summa cum laude. Henry Martin. Adriana Nellett. Brandon Norris, summa cum laude. Anna Marie Parker. Marin Parks, magna cum laude. Vanessa Steikoff, summa cum laude. Jordan Traeger, cum laude. Alexander Rankin, magna cum laude. Maya Hunter, magna cum laude. Jordan Wilker, summa cum laude. Marla Alden, Bachelor of Fine Arts, cum laude. Gianna Bratke, cum laude. Ashlyn Chandler. Jess Davis, cum laude. Ryan Harvey, magna cum laude. Rose Jackson. Ellen Maddox, magna cum laude. Heather Maurer, cum laude. Hunter MacArthur. Caitlin McMillan, magna cum laude. Rebecca Piepszak, magna cum laude. Katarina Robertson. Elizabeth Sack, magna cum laude. Shelby Sanders. Samantha Wardasani. Danielle White. Alina Jong, magna cum laude. Bachelor of Music Education, Elena Arbrak, magna cum laude. Heidi Gallagher, summa cum laude. Evelyn Hutchinson, cum laude. Garrett Peacock, summa cum laude. Cora Hain. Anna Morozov, cum laude. Bachelor of Science, Julia Allen. Nolan Annette. Isabella Anzaldua. Daniel Artwall. James Asava, cum laude. Brooke Ashworth, cum laude. Juan Azanza, cum laude. Cameron Ballard, summa cum laude. Rev. Derek Marimla Baluyut. Caden Bask, magna cum laude. Shiloh Bichek. Anna Beckstrom, summa cum laude. Kayla Bittenbinder, cum laude. Jess Blesh, cum laude. Briley Bizantz, magna cum laude. Ziane Borsma. Blake Borths. Bradley Bossert, cum laude. Harrison Boucher, cum laude. Jessica Bowman, cum laude. Logan Boynton. Madeline Bray. Grace Breggy. Lily Briggs, summa cum laude. Megan Brock. Elizabeth Brokaw. Philippe Brado Lemes. Janessa Brown. Jordan Brown, summa cum laude. Blake Broxson. Mona Jane Brunk. Kayla Tierney, magna cum laude. Aspen Birch, magna cum laude. Benjamin Burris. Jacqueline Bursch, cum laude. Tyler Burgess. Beth Buys. Xander Bird. Aldo Calise Jr., cum laude. Joshua Cameron. Shelby Carlson. William Carlson. Ryan Carmody, cum laude. Brendan Carroll. Brennan Cast, summa cum laude. Jake Catarello. Amber Setnarowski. Abigail Check. Bennett Cherney. Dylan Chitwood. Jack Pranowski. Mitchell Clark. Thomas Claycomb. Anthony Klein. Carly Cody, summa cum laude, Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army. Michael Colella. Alan Cooney, magna cum laude. Chase Cooney. Caden Carrillo. Delphia Craig. Genevieve Crooks. Tyler Crowley. Trevor DePose, summa cum laude. Angelina Davidson. Eden Davidson, magna cum laude. Jacob DeJezu. Isabella DeBoard, summa cum laude. Catherine Decatur. Ezra Dedenbach, magna cum laude. Madison DeJohn. Sarah Lynn Delwich, summa cum laude. Mason Dempsey. Haley DeRocher, magna cum laude. Holden Delakia, magna cum laude. Gabriel Dolan. Simon Donahue Brown. Andrew Donar, cum laude. Nora Doman, cum laude. Dominic Dotson, cum laude. Alexander Drent. Jada Trotar. Peyton Doobie. Lauren Dunn, summa cum laude. Stephanie Dye, cum laude. Heron Dyer, cum laude. Hannah Eckberg. Avery Ellis. Colby Enns. Natalia Urkala, cum laude. Elena Erla. Aubrey Evans, cum laude. Abigail Fakes. Clayton Fair. Gwendolyn Feemster, magna cum laude. Claire Feldkamp, magna cum laude. Julia Felton. Avery Fear, summa cum laude. Nadia Finley. Nadia Fisher. Ashley Fitzpatrick, cum laude. Brooklyn Fitzpatrick, magna cum laude. Walker Fogel. Bridget Fornick. Ethan Frusco. Mark Fuller, summa cum laude. Christopher Gabras. Aiden Gallacher, summa cum laude. Serene Gauthier, cum laude. Charles Gerhard. Kerrigan Gill. Kaylor Geyer, cum laude. Sarah Gimple. Anna Gobernatz. Brandon Godin, magna cum laude. Mira Gomer, magna cum laude. Louis Good. Dustin Goodman, cum laude. Jaden Guchez, cum laude. Lily Griebel, cum laude. Daniel Grooms. Kathleen Gunville, magna cum laude. Gretchen Hagenmiller, summa cum laude. Cammie Hall, cum laude. Kristen Hall, cum laude. Andrew Hands. Caitlin Harrison. Mackenzie Herod. Alexis Hart. Angelina Haugen. Kendra Hayden, cum laude. Tyler Hayden. Wyatt Heaton. Kaylin Headland. Martina Headland. Morgan Helmley, cum laude. Alexandria Herrick. Allison Hightower, magna cum laude. Nicholas Hill. Trinity Hinshaw, summa cum laude. Rhett Hoffman, cum laude. Cecilia Hogan, cum laude. Ella Holden, cum laude. Emma Holmes. Mary Holohan, summa cum laude. Alexander Hood. Andrew Hoover. Taylor Hund. Alyssa Hutchinson, cum laude. Anya Hyatt, magna cum laude. Abby Irish, magna cum laude. Emily Eisler. Chase Jensen, magna cum laude. Melanie Johnson, magna cum laude. Andrew Johnson. Joshua Johnson, summa cum laude. Kai Johnson, cum laude. Gabrielle Jonas. Claire Jorgensen, magna cum laude. Charles Keefe, summa cum laude. Mary Kelly, magna cum laude. Cora Kemperman. Jaden Kennison, magna cum laude. Emma Kerbellis. Zachary Kipp. Paul Kirchmeier. Lily Kissinger, summa cum laude. Ryan Klarner. Ella Miller-Nuge, cum laude. Kyle Cahanzo. Ren Connickson, summa cum laude. Jonathan Korsinski. Dylan Korleski, cum laude. Kyle Kozowski. James Krebs. Sienna Kreiner, magna cum laude. Faith Kinker, cum laude. Gavin LeMaid, Jr. Abigail Lamb. Brennan Larson, cum laude. Jessica Lawrence, cum laude. Keegan Lawrence. Jordan Lawson. Gary Lawton, magna cum laude. Evan Leshock, cum laude. Emma LaFave. Macy Leisenring. Cooper Lennox. Julia Letts, cum laude. Madeline Lobig. Margaret Lynch, cum laude. Kevin Lyon, cum laude. Danielle Lipsenma. Emma Leisinger, magna cum laude. Lily Majestic, cum laude. Sarah Mackinnon. Savannah Maney, cum laude. Kobe Manzo, magna cum laude. Mirabella Markham, magna cum laude. Ren Massey. Victor McBride, cum laude. Brady McCormick. Shelby McGlinch. Amelia Mears Parcher, summa cum laude. Bianca Mendoza. Caitlin Michigod. Megan Meyer, summa cum laude. Lily Myers. Emma Miller, summa cum laude. Scott Minshaw. Denham Myron. Elizabeth Moberg. Eric Mooney, magna cum laude. Justin Mussolf. Patrick Myers. Angelina Negron. Sarah Nege Kanaz, cum laude. Ashley Nickerson. Ryan Nixon. Adele Noel Reichert. Delaney Nye. Kendall O'Brien, cum laude. Brianna O'Driscoll, magna cum laude. Kelsey Owes. Mia Ohashi Berg. Morgan Oja, magna cum laude. Cassidy Olson, cum laude. Sunshine Oxer, summa cum laude. Anna Patterson. Lillian Peck, magna cum laude. Olivia Peedle. Carrie Rogers, summa cum laude. Ty Pellegrini, summa cum laude. James Pilon. Brooke Pertu, cum laude. Eva Peterson. Kaylee Phillips. Joseph Peterzak. Kaylee Pilgrim. Emma Pinkova, magna cum laude. Olivia Pizzioli, magna cum laude. Madison Plazinski. Megan Poe, cum laude. Nicole Polzin. Allison Porter. Caitlin Potvin. Cameron Prater. Kiro Pullum. Trevor Rademacher. Darcy Resch, magna cum laude. Anthony Reynolds. Maya Reist. Sasha Richardson. Sky Richings. Heston Roberts, summa cum laude. Sydney Romps, summa cum laude. Katarina Rothorn, summa cum laude. Mitchell Russellberg. Madeline Sadler. Dana Sadler, cum laude. Catherine Sanford. Cody Selverson, cum laude. McKenna Sanford. Melissa Santour. Nathan Saracen. Anna Sarka, summa cum laude. Samantha Sand. Molly Scapitici, summa cum laude. Carter Schmidt. Cheryl Schroeder, magna cum laude. Jonas Sabrainik, summa cum laude. Ishani Sharma. Madeline Shepard, cum laude. Avari Simpson. Cora May Suda, cum laude. Casey Sivret. Laura Sleva, cum laude. Kaylin Skrypick. Mason Slade. Emily Sukup, magna cum laude. Autumn Stage, magna cum laude. Jacqueline Stankowitz. Josie Steed. Molly Steinbrecker, summa cum laude. Evan Steinman. Wallace Stevenson, summa cum laude. Sean Stoles. Lillian Stewart. Ben Strybeck. Tegan Swanson, summa cum laude. Marissa Tascari, cum laude. Audrey Thaxton. Sylvia Toney. Eleanor Tiziani. Lillian Tiziani. Bobby Treshak. Maya Trower. Luke Chumperland, summa cum laude. Lexi Turner. Dylan Ehrman. Joseph Valentik. Joshua Vandenhoven. Aaron Vanderscape, cum laude. Isabella Vignoz, cum laude. Veronica Wagner. Lindsay Walton, cum laude. Alexander Weaver, cum laude. Brianna Weaver. Dylan Weaver. Shane Wine, cum laude. Joseph Welch, magna cum laude. Lander Wells, magna cum laude. Paige Whaley. Joseph Winkowski. Dallas Wertella. Riley Wilcox, cum laude. Melinda Willie. Jenna Williams, cum laude. Nora Williams, cum laude. Morgan Winkler. Derek Whittlick. Elijah Wodehouse. Lauren Wolmer, cum laude. Jaden Roble. Jaden Young. Tyler Youngdahl. Rebecca Young, cum laude. Avery Zalman. Zachary Ziegler. Ariana Zimny. College of Business, Associate of Business, Joshua Galecki. Isaiah Ledford. J.T. Mackey. Morgan Massey. Jordan Nance. Jacob Pleva. Aiden Saris. Bachelor of Applied Science, Carson Deck. Bachelor of Arts, Marichel Font Cantarero. Jackie Garcia. Bachelor of Science, Thibaut Auger, magna cum laude. Zachary Balmes. Caden Bigger. Margaret Boberka, cum laude. Will Boschert, magna cum laude. Tyrell Boucher, cum laude. Braden Bosley. Samantha Brown. Camilla Carbone, summa cum laude. Cecilia Savikovic, magna cum laude. Mitchell Dielstra, cum laude. Colin DeHart, cum laude. Allison Deutsch, summa cum laude. Kevin Dinzer. Chloe Everson. Peyton Fadell. Jacob Fuchs, summa cum laude. Brenna Philby, cum laude. Ava Fleck, summa cum laude. Adam Grabowski, summa cum laude. Harley Erickson, magna cum laude. Caleb Gregory. Parker Grisbowski. Kylie Gustafson. Natalie Hackstock, cum laude. Sarah Hagel, summa cum laude. Ethan Hale, cum laude. Riley Harris. Olivia Jarzabek, cum laude. Emily Jennings. Morgan Johnson. Jack Jones. Amelia Juris. Kayla Koski, summa cum laude. Lucas Kramer, summa cum laude. Bryce Keno, cum laude. Nathan Kopish, cum laude. Lizette Lefebvre, cum laude. Joshua LaValle. Noah Lancourt. Clay Larson, magna cum laude. Selah Leslie Lyons. Joshua Levantowski, cum laude. Garrett Mann, magna cum laude. Naomi Matson. Connor McChance. Alexis McDowell. McKenna McKay. Brecken Mills, cum laude. Tyler Rabarsik. Samuel Schultz. Artem Schlein, cum laude. Carson Smith, cum laude. Hunter Smith. Ryan Tackert. Quinn Tebow. Michael Thomas. Morgan Thomas. Tanner Tickler. Justin Timmer. Braden Tyler. Rylan Van Ewen. Paris Wegleitner, cum laude. College of Health Sciences and Professional Studies, Associate of Applied Science, Morgan Anderson, honor. Bo Castor, high honor. Griffin Moore, cum laude. Amelia Morris, cum laude. Brenda Musser, magna cum laude. Anna Newman, magna cum laude. Joshua Nemi. Gregory O'Hagan, cum laude. Cole Pence. Adam Petroff, cum laude. William Pilto. Nicholas Pleward. Autumn Post, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Preston, cum laude. Dean Ramsbottom, cum laude. Mackenzie Ray. Trinity Frericks. Melanie Gronland. Mara Hino, high honor. Devin Montano. Haley Heitnen, honor. Hunter Johnson Duquette. Sarah Kamke. Elizabeth Kemperman, high honor. Julia King, high honor. Taylor Lindley. Savannah Merritt, honor. Madison Myron, honor. Annabelle No, honor. Allison Sari. Hunter Sherman. Evan Van Artsen. Peter Vandenavond, honor. Associate of Science, Seja Abu Huzaima. Anthony Misali III. Hunter Schramm. Bachelor of Science, Alicia Acosta. Macy Ahonen, magna cum laude. Noah Allor, cum laude. Hannah Alvis, summa cum laude. Jennifer Andery. Caitlin Antela, magna cum laude. Jeffrey Bailey. Bryce Beckley, summa cum laude. Paige Berglund, magna cum laude. Adam Bergman. Tegan Blahoviak, summa cum laude. Hank Banga III. Jackson Bowers. Davian Brooks. Morgan Brown, summa cum laude. Joseph Budnick. Sarah Cavalieri. Austin Christunas. Austin Silva. Rylan Clark, summa cum laude. Michaela Cleese. Cecilia Cole. Thomas Kanji. Grace Cook, summa cum laude. Nikita Cordis, cum laude. Emma Davis, cum laude. Ashley DeLuigi. Anna Drew. Evan Durbin, magna cum laude. Alexis Urbantrout. Connor Farrington. Jacob Fisher. Emily Franks. Annika Friday, magna cum laude. Jessica Fruit. Juan Garcia, summa cum laude. Alexandria Jeanette. Denver Gore, cum laude. Daniel Golding, magna cum laude, Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army. Alexis Gonzalez. Kevin Graham. Samuel Groom. Hugh Gunderson, magna cum laude. Rachel Hall. Abby Hayes, cum laude. Kaya Hayes. Cooper Heinzman. William Heller, cum laude. Samuel Hudson. Jackson Holdwick. Colin Holton. Jersey Hoover, summa cum laude. Seth Hornick. George Isles, cum laude. Keaton Jones. Jordan Jerva. Mallory Carber. Thomas Kellen. Andrew Kempke, cum laude. Anna Killian, cum laude. Stephanie Klein. Joe Laborge. Ellie Koryanik. Crystal Koski, cum laude. Chloe Kyer. Marnea Lefebvre. Erica Leighton Adbert, summa cum laude. Hunter Lang. Jenna Lowe, summa cum laude. Nicholas Leonetti. Kylie Litsky. Chad Longstreet. Tyler Lumen. Emily Lubes, cum laude. Danielle Lund, cum laude. Haley Markello, cum laude. Jolie Martinez, cum laude. Emily Mitchell, magna cum laude. Sydney McCarthy. Lauren McDougall. Cecilia McKinney, magna cum laude. Lauren Melendez Rivero. Abigail Mishaw, summa cum laude. Miranda Miller, cum laude. Faith Nicholson. Caleb Nemi. Charlie O'Connell. Daniel Oler. Jacob Osterwick. Braden Pillars. Zoe Peterson. Brooke Pedala, summa cum laude. Jacob Peterzak. Sunny B. Pilto. Emma Poyer, cum laude. Rachel Rock. Jessica Ramon. Gavin Rasanici. Melena Reed, Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army. Nicole Reyna. Rachel Riley, cum laude. Holly Revord, cum laude. Alexander Rodenberg. Allison Ronis, cum laude. Scott Rose. Nadia Rosemergy, cum laude. Christy Peterson. Nicholas Rowley, cum laude. Kathleen Salo, summa cum laude. Reagan Salo, cum laude. Maya Schulte, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Schwamline, magna cum laude. Allison Sell. Sophia Shamel, summa cum laude. Ryland Shriver. Jenna Sickle, summa cum laude. Caleb Smith. Marissa Smith. Brendan Smotherman, magna cum laude. Emily Snyder, summa cum laude. Nicholas St. Ange. Declan Stratford. Natasha Simons, cum laude. Joseph Taglava. Julia Taro, magna cum laude. Madison Tassin. Robin Teepole, cum laude. Dylan Teeples, cum laude. Lindsay Thompson, cum laude. Madeline Thompson. Tiffany Konvoyak, cum laude. Marissa Truhella. Miranda Troy, summa cum laude. Stephanie Trujillo, cum laude. James Turner III. Chloe Valente, cum laude. Lauren Van Riemertel, magna cum laude. Skylar Van Stream. Delaney Van Kuren. Sarah Van Nortwick, magna cum laude. Dominic Villetta. Samuel Watermolen. Bridget Weber, summa cum laude. Douglas Wells, cum laude. Caitlin Williams, magna cum laude. Jack Wilson. Danielle Wergo, magna cum laude. Gracie Witt, summa cum laude. Audrey Wright, magna cum laude. Tori Zagers. Now we got the fun. Bachelor of Science of Nursing, Jessica Armstrong, summa cum laude. Brianna Barden, cum laude. Michaela Beach, magna cum laude. Natalie Bordson, magna cum laude. Sage Bracco, magna cum laude. Laura Bruner, magna cum laude. Jordan Butler, cum laude. Regan Cox, summa cum laude. Carly Crofts, magna cum laude. Madison Diedrich, cum laude. Mira Enos. Karen Fernandez, cum laude. Jacqueline Geyer. Megan Goodwill. Carmen Graves, summa cum laude. Ashlyn Gross. Michaela Hip, magna cum laude. Haley Johns, magna cum laude. Dana Johnson, cum laude. Maggie Costamo, cum laude. Kellen Klein. Emily Koski. Alsobel Craner, cum laude. Brooke Kriegel, summa cum laude. Melissa McNellis. Alyssa Miller, cum laude. Cheyenne Moyer, cum laude. Lauren Orr. Annika Rude, magna cum laude. Alyssa Rindles, cum laude, Sergeant, Second Lieutenant, Army National Guard. Stephen Rumps, cum laude. Sierra Scott, cum laude. Audrey Shambaugh, magna cum laude. Alyssa Smith. Claire Smith, magna cum laude. Parker Smith, magna cum laude. Jessica Tennant. Abigail Thompson, cum laude. Caitlin Tromley, cum laude. Anna Wheeler. McKenna Whiting. Margaret Wilms, summa cum laude. Bachelor of Social Work, Monica Arredondo. Avery Bassage, magna cum laude. McKenna Bayless, summa cum laude. Abigail Bradfield, cum laude. Hannah Brown. Autumn Enright. Alyssa Fulton. Anna Golbensky. Kendra Grafenauer, summa cum laude. Shelby Boggs, summa cum laude. Irena Greenwood. April Heckman. Caitlin Heiss. Janie Huta, magna cum laude. Katie Huta, magna cum laude. Autumn Kakkonen. Brianna Mesh, magna cum laude. Cassidy Medic. Legacy Morgan. Merle Richter, magna cum laude. Hallie Sullins. Delaney Tennell. College of Technology and Occupational Sciences Certificate, Michaela Anderson. Anna Brandstrom. Donovan Chalker. Abigail Clemens. William Crisp. Victoria DiNardo. Adriana Fasella. Taven Haig. Shannon Heisler. Emily Keramo. Mason Kinnunen. Tia Mackey. Trevor Matfork. Helen Ninko. Sierra Oswald. Caleb Parker. Amara Paul. Savannah Salmi. Brendan Schaff. Abigail Schlegel. Hannah Schott. Tyler Willey. Associate of Applied Science, Cyrus Adams. Matthew Berry. Emma Bradley, Honor. Associate of Applied Science, Nathaniel Bruckard. Brendan Coons. Brooke Foster. Matthew Hagerstrom. Sage Jones. Brendan Campbell. Trace Jurgens, Honor. Andrew Kilbasa. Evan Kubik. Wyatt Coleman. Finbar McNamara. Nicholas Mers, Honor. Ethan Myers, Honor. Logan Parker. Austin Pepin. Alexander Schlem, Honor. Jacob Schlem. Connor Sherwin. Riley Starnes. Timothy Dingman. Matthew Mara, Honor. Isaac Moore, Honor. Nathan Richards, High Honor. Bachelor of Science, Mirabella Apostolides. Nolan Asala, cum laude. Kellick Bailey, cum laude. Brooke Baxa. Brett Blackburn, cum laude. Christopher Boyk Johnson. Nathan Brundage. Jared Charles, cum laude. Grace Farney. Benjamin Farmer. Reese Fortner. Samuel Frischman. Dobie Gillis. Samuel Gorman, cum laude. Soren Hansen, cum laude. Ryan Hutton. Everett Kayer, cum laude. Mackenzie Lamphere. Corbin Trotzer. Cooper Lanou. Trinity Lindeman. Anthony Mack. Trixie Magrin Jacobson, summa cum laude. Patrick Nari. Logan Normand, magna cum laude. Luke Pettinger. Brennan Phillips, summa cum laude. Taylor Prince. Nick Sari. Kyle Saar. Eric Seedbeck. River Smith, cum laude. And Remy Williams.
All right. Let's give these 900 plus graduates one more big round of applause. Some of our graduates are trailblazers, not only in the classroom, but in their own lives. We're very proud of our first generation students and ask that you stand and be recognized for your accomplishments. And I'd ask you to stand because you have blue cords commemorating your accomplishment today. Congratulations. Well done. You may be seated. I want to thank Dr. Stephen Grugan and the Commencement Band. The Teal Lake Singers, who opened our ceremony this morning with their drum circle. And Miss Anna Morozov for her part in our commencement program. I'd also like to thank WNMU TV staff for their coverage of the program. As of this commencement, Northern Michigan University has conferred more than 83,000 degrees. Our graduates have taken their places in a variety of successful professional endeavors. They reflect the high expectations we have for NMU graduates to become leaders and contributors in their community and in our country. Graduates, this is your day, and you have every right to be proud. We wish you every success in the future, make a difference, and lead like a wildcat. Okay. Now, we do invite all of you to join us in an informal reception in the Northern Center ballrooms. It's a fantastic experience, and it starts immediately following this ceremony. As we prepare to conclude the ceremony, we're going to ask members of the audience to remain seated until the platform party, the faculty, and the graduates have left the commencement area. It's a beautiful day outside. It's a beautiful day inside the Superior Dome. Thank you for attending this commencement and for your support of students at Northern Michigan University. Congratulations again, graduates, and I now welcome you as part of the NMU alumni family. Congratulations. Have a great day and enjoy it.
coverage of the 2024 Spring Commencement exercises was produced through the facilities of WNMU TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.